tradition of Bihar School of Yoga. And now I have an ashram in Gokarna, west coast of India. So when the lockdown is over, do come and visit. It's a beautiful place. We have an organic farm. We have a play school. We're doing a lot of community work. And I'm really happy to be working with EKA meditation app. They're real perfectionists, I should say, we're real perfectionists, and do a great job to give you all kinds of practices that are good for energizing, relaxing, and connecting with your spiritual higher self. Shall I proceed, Sudeepta?
Yes, you can start.
Great. So now that I remembered to introduce myself, which I forgot to last time, today's topic is Introduction to Pranayama. And this is a very, for me, interesting and fascinating topic because it's so subtle and secret and powerful as well. And many people are under a misconception that pranayama are breathing exercises. But actually, pranayama are not breathing exercises. Because we do pranayama without breathing, we think that it's breathing exercises. But actually, it's energy breathing exercises. It's things that we do with the prana. Because prana is invisible. It's powerful and invisible. And it moves with the breath. And so we use the breath as a tool, a harness, a vehicle for the prana and for doing things with the prana. So what does pranayama actually mean, the word pranayama? It's made of two words, prana and ayama. So prana is life force energy, and ayama is to increase or control or balance. So when we do pranayams, we're doing something with the life force energy. Basically, all the pranayama practices are purifying, balancing, and enhancing or increasing our pranas. And I hope to tell you, maybe I should tell you now about it. Purifying. You see, when we do the pranayama, when we breathe, we take in oxygen and we take out carbon dioxide. So breathing is a process of energizing and purifying or cleansing. And the prana or energy, which is moving behind the breath, is also being purified and energized. So whenever you're doing any breathing, as soon as you realize that you're breathing, as soon as you are aware of your breathing, know that you're energizing yourself. And when you're breathing out, you're releasing the waste products and the carbon dioxide and purifying the pranic energies. So, of course, this is very useful and necessary for life because we can't live without breathing even for a few moments. So when we breathe, we're taking in oxygen, but we're also taking in energy. And we breathe out, we're releasing carbon dioxide, but we're also releasing all the toxins and chemicals, and we're releasing prana as well. So we're sharing the prana with the environment around us. So that's the purification and aspect of pranayama. And balancing, pranayama is also about balancing. It's many times when we think of balancing, we think of a pendulum going from one side to the other. And actually, when we do nadi shodhana or alternate nostril breathing, where we breathe through the two nostrils like this or like this, we are balancing and going between the two brain hemispheres and enhancing and using and balancing the two kinds of energies. Basically, we have two kinds of energies, or three if you like, but the two main energies are the mental energy and the physical energy. And the mental energy is passive and relaxing, and the physical energy is active and energizing. So if you have an imbalance of energy, you might be having a racing mind, but you're feeling very lazy physically and you can't get up and do anything. So we often suffer with this, where we've got lots of anxieties going on, but we can't move physically and we feel exhausted physically. So this is an imbalance in our pranas. And when we learn how to balance our pranas, then we can relax the mind and energize the body. Conversely, sometimes we're feeling very restless in our physical body, but concentration, we can't concentrate. The mind is feeling dull and lethargic, and we're feeling maybe depressed. So that's also an imbalance in the energy. So this is one kind of balance that we're doing with the pranayams. The other kind of balance, which we forget about, is the balance of the energies through the chakras. Now, you may have heard that there are chakras in the being, which are energy centers or energy vortexes in our being, and they provide and beam out energy for all the different functions and for all the different organs of the body and all the different levels of our being. And if you have congested energy in one area and depleted energy in another area, that's an imbalance. So pranayams also help us to balance the energies up and down our chakras. So it's not just a matter of the right and left brain hemisphere, or balance like in a pendulum, or balance between mental and physical, but it's also balancing the energies in the different parts of the body and the different levels and functions of our being. So that's purifying and balancing. And what about increasing? Pranayam also increases the prana, because generally energy produces energy. If you may have noticed that if you're lying around being lazy all day, you don't have any energy. But if you've been jogging and moving around and active, you've got plenty of energy. So energy generates energy. Similarly, like money, when you have money and you use it well, then you get more money and you generate money. Like a car or a house. If you have a car and a house, or a house that is not used, then it breaks down and you can't use it. If you want to keep your car running, you have to keep using it regularly. If you want your house to be maintained, you have to live in it and use it. If you don't use them, then they go to rack and ruin, and they don't operate, they don't function. So similarly with energy, the more you use your energy, the more you generate energy. And pranayam is one direct way, one direct practice or sadhana that you can do to generate your energy, to balance it, and to purify it. But what is prana? I think most of you know what prana is, but I'll go through and tell you anyway. So prana is life force energy. Basically, the prana is that energy which is behind everything in existence. If you think of a sleeping body and a dead body, basically the two bodies are the same. But there's a huge difference, because one has prana, life force energy, and the other one doesn't. So that prana is the prana that we're using in pranayam. And that life force energy is what is essential for us to live and to do everything that we are doing in our lives, whether it be eating or sleeping or thinking or working. There's someone hammering there in the background. They're using prana to do that. And it's prana that enables me to hear that sound and to process it and to feel, oh dear, it's disturbing, and to say something about it. So all this is powered by prana. If I can attract someone's attention, I might be able to get them to stop it. Let's see. So the prana is that life force energy that enables us to do everything in our life. A little bit like the petrol in a car. You can have a perfectly good car or vehicle, but if you don't have petrol in it, you can't make it go. You can have a perfectly good body, but if you don't have prana, you can't make it, you can't live, you can't do anything. So this is the prana, life force energy that we're using in pranayama. And those people who were there on Monday when I gave an introduction to yoga, I talked briefly about the panchakoshas. And the Panchakoshas are the 5 levels, aspects, or covering of our being. And just to get in and understand a little bit more about the place of prana in the Panchakoshas. The first Panchakosha is the Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, which is fed by food to maintain it. That's the solid vehicle of our being. It's what you can see now that you're looking at the screen. And all the other aspects of our being are invisible. For example, the mind, the Manamaya Kosha. The Manamaya Kosha is the mind. But where is the mind? If you cut open brain, can you see mind? Can you show me your mind? Can you see the mind? No. And yet mind is very real. We experience it in a very real and strong way through our thoughts and our thinking. So this is just as we accept that we have a mind and it's real, we can also accept that we have other aspects of our being that are also invisible but very real. And one of them is prana. So the prana is the life force energy, and that is the pranamaya kosha. And this is the life force energy, as I said, that enables us to do everything in our life. But it's also the magnetism that keeps all the different levels of our being with this body. Just like the earth has a field of magnetic energy that keeps everything resting on the earth and attached to the earth, our body, our prana is the magnetism that keeps the mind, the intuition, the emotions, the spirit, the soul, the atma, with this body. Otherwise, we could wake up one morning and find that we're in someone else's body. And that never happens. So the prana is the part of our being, the energy, the life force energy that keeps all those subtle things like a glue or like a magnetism to this body. And it also is the energy that flows through on that prana level, the pranamaya kosha, and the same as the aura actually. And it's in other systems. It's seen as the marma points in Ayurveda and the meridians in acupuncture. So all the different healing systems and spiritual systems talk about the different chakras and the prana, the key, the energy that is flowing through the chakras. Did someone say something? Good. So, I'll see if I can. I think Sudipta can. Right. So that's a little bit about prana, and the prana. If you took a photograph of the pranamaya kosha, the pranic body, and you can nowadays through Kirlian photography and other kinds of energy sensors, you would see that the pranamaya kosha is a little bit like the central nervous system, or even like the blood circulatory system, where there are clumps of energy in the center of our body, and from those clumps or vortexes of energy, there are energy pathways, flows of energy, nadis, and the yogis say that there are 72,000 nadis in our being, and those are kind of like bolts of lightning or rays of light, so fine and subtle that we can't see them, but Kirlian photography and other photographic systems can pick them up. And this prana is flowing through the different chakras, beaming out energy to the different organs and different aspects of our being. And that's all part of the pranamaya kosha. So I hope that I've given you some idea of prana. But one thing I just remembered that I think is really interesting is, where does prana come from? You know, we use prana for, we need prana for our life, but where does it actually come from? So when a baby is born, there's already prana in it, a divine prana which comes in. The baby and each being has got the consciousness and the energy, the prana and the manas, the Shiva and the Shakti. So the prana or energy in our being comes from that divine Mahaprana, if you like. And then when we live, we get in prana from many different means. For example, when we eat food, there's a certain amount of prana in food. Food is more on the physical level and it feeds the physical body. But there is prana. You can have food that's got more prana, like live things like sprouts and vegetables and greens that are raw. But you can also have food which has not so much prana, or a different kind of solid prana, which helps us to feed and maintain the solid body. But of course, one of the most important ways of us getting prana is through the air that we breathe. We think that we're breathing only oxygen, but actually we're also breathing in prana. And as I said before, we're breathing in prana and we're releasing prana. So there's a connection between the outer world and the inner world, not only on the physical level, but also on the pranic level, and then of course on the more and more subtle levels of our being. Another, one of my favorite practices in pranayama is pranic breathing. It's not a very well-known practice, but it's a practice where you focus on your breathing, and with your vijnanamaya kosha, your imagination, you visualize that you're sucking in the prana from the cosmos into your being or into an affected part of the body that you want to heal. And you're breathing out and you're infusing it into your whole body or into a particular part of the body. So what you're doing is that you are actively drawing in the prana that's there in the atmosphere. You see, when you look around you, you can't see prana because it's invisible. But it's there. We know theoretically through science that the prana is there in everything, including in the air and the atmosphere. And in this way, prana is a little bit like electricity. You know, if you have an electric wire and you cut it, you won't see the electricity coming out. But if you touch a live wire, you'll definitely feel it. So prana is like this. It's very powerful, but it's invisible. And similarly to electricity, the prana comes from in our chakras, just like electricity comes from a generating station and then through substations, then to the house, and then through wires in the house, and manifests in the different electrical appliances in different ways. Our prana is coming from the source of our being in Muladhara and manifesting and coming out through the different chakras, supplying energy to the different levels of our being. And the same energy, the primal energy, the same energy will be manifesting in different ways. So this is a little bit about prana. And there's something else. Oh, that's right, where we get prana from. So we get prana from food. We get it from the air that we breathe. We get it from highly charged places. For example, you go to the seashore, you feel very good, you feel that the air is sparkling because you're getting prana, it's full of, energized with prana, and you're getting prana from it. You get it from nature. You go to a place of nature, you immediately feel good and feel recharged. You know, all the plants and trees are highly charged with nature, not only oxygen, but also prana. And so you are getting prana from that. But you can also generate prana within yourself through your thoughts and emotions. For example, you're sleeping in bed or you're lying in bed, you're feeling lazy to get up, and then you think of something, oh, I'd love to get up and have a cup of coffee. And that thought motivates you to get out of bed and to do what you have to do. So even a thought and an emotion, for example, anger. Supposing you're feeling angry with someone, you know, suddenly you've got a lot of energy and you're feeling warm. It's not only the adrenaline that's going through your system, but it's also the pranic energy. So it's prana is a very mysterious and subtle thing, and we can generate it just through something simple like motivation and imagination. But we can also generate it through the well-known things, take it in through the well-known things like air and water and food and the environment, and even holy places are highly charged with prana. And the holy water and springs are charged with water. So you go and bathe yourself in that water and you're getting prana from it. So this is how we get prana. But in pranayama, we use the prana that we have, and as I said before, we purify it, balance it, and increase it. A little bit like a generator, or I like to use the analogy of a microphone. You're speaking into a microphone, and then something's happening in the amplifier, and then the sound is coming out even louder. So this is what's happening with our prana. We're doing pranayama, and we're doing cleansing and generating that prana, and then we get more prana. So people who do pranayama, you know, they're sparkling with energy. They're clear. Their eyes are shining and sparkling. And even in the scriptures, it says that if you do pranayama, your eyes will be sparkling, your skin will be shining, you'll be full of positive energy, you'll be pleasant to be with. And these are some of the very subtle benefits of pranayama. I could now maybe tell more about the benefits and the effects of pranayama, because that also is a very kind of unknown and subtle thing. What are the effects of pranayama? As I said before, purifying, balancing, and energizing. But very specifically, pranayama is very good for the lungs because you're using the breath. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention. You see, because prana is invisible like electricity, but very powerful, it's difficult to know how to manipulate it and how to use it and how to control it and channelize it. And the way that, and this is why we do pranayama, because pranayama, through the breathing, we can harness the pranas and we can control them and adjust them and manipulate them. So when we breathe, we're breathing in prana. When we're breathing out, we're breathing out prana. And so by doing the different pranayama practices, we are manipulating, purifying, and generating the pranas. That's why people think that pranayama is breathing exercises, because when they see someone doing pranayama, when you do pranayama yourself, you think you're doing something with your breath. But actually, why are you doing something with your breath? So that you can do something with the prana that's moving behind each breath. And the prana does move behind our breathing. If you just, for a moment now, just close your eyes for a moment, and you can remain in your same position as you are. Close your eyes for a moment and just feel the shape and stillness and solidness of your physical body. And within the solidness and stillness of your physical body, tune into the movement of your breathing without changing the natural rhythm of your breath. And you feel a gentle rise and falling of your chest. And if you follow the rising and falling of your chest, this is the way the prana is moving. Rising upwards as you inhale and descending downwards as you exhale. Let's go deeper into that feeling. Try and feel the subtlety of the prana rising upwards in your body as you inhale, downwards as you exhale. With each breath. And the more you fine-tune your awareness, the more you'll be able to feel that subtle movement of the invisible prana, life force within us. And now take a deep breath in and out and gently open your eyes. So I hope you were able to get some kind of inkling about the prana that moves with our breathing. And this is why we use breathing for doing something with the prana. And that's why it's called pranayama. not breathing exercises, but energy breathing practices. And what are the benefits of pranayama? Well, because we're doing it with the breathing, it's very good for the lungs. So it's very good for strengthening the lungs and increase oxygen and energy. And that provides more oxygen and energy for all the different organs of the body. So pranayams are really good for everything. Good for the digestive system to cool down excess energy in the digestion and to energize depleted energy in the digestion. Very good for the heart because you're breathing and you're doing something with your lungs. It's massaging the heart, and that extra oxygen energy is going from the lungs into the heart, supplying more oxygen and energy to the heart. So it's very good for the heart and the blood circulatory system. It's very good for diabetes and the pancreas. And you see, because pranayama practices generate more prana, they create more energy, more life energy. And that gives more life energy to all the systems of the body. So when you have a psychosomatic complaint, like, for example, stress is eroding your different organs, because when we have more stress and anxiety, it uses a lot of energy, and so the energy gets depleted, and so the weakest part of our being, the weakest system of our being breaks down. So, for example, when you have high stress, then you might get diabetes because the energy level came down. Then there's less energy for your pancreas, and it doesn't work. So same thing with if you have high stress, maybe you get asthma, or if you get high stress, you get a back pain, or you get constipation, or some people will get loose motion when they have more stress. So when we have more stress, it uses up and it contains a lot of energy, and that saps the energy out of our system, of our physical body, and all the different levels of our being. So there's less energy to maintain the immune system, and so the weakest point breaks down. The weakest link in the chain breaks down. This is how the psychosomatic ailments work. So that's why pranayama is really good for all kinds of ailments, because it gives more energy. It supplies more energy to the immune system and to all the organs of the body, so that you're stronger physically and energy-wise and mentally, which I'll tell you in a minute. But also it relaxes. So not only does it provide more energy for the different system, but it also helps to relax the brain and diffuse the tension in the brain and balance the energy. So if you've got a lot of energy locked up in your brain in the form of anxiety and tension, then the pranayama helps to soothe and calm and focus your mind, so that energy is then available for the wear and tear of the body, for healing, and for the immune system. This is the beauty of pranayama, that you can use it for relaxation and release of tension, because when you're doing your pranayama, your mind is fully focused on the practice. You're busy observing the inhale breath and observing the exhale breath. You're busy doing something with your inhale breath, perhaps counting, and you're busy doing something with your exhale breath, or maybe visualizing. So because your mind is fully focused, your mind gets very calm and concentrated, and many people prefer pranayama to meditation because it engages your mind so much. And at EKA meditation, we've got some wonderful pranayama practices that take you step by step through the subtle levels and deeper and higher. And they're so easy, short, simple practices that you can do at any time, taking you gradually through the steps. You see, many people, when they do pranayama, they want to do something very difficult, strong, and forceful. And they may be, starting with something like Kapalbhati, or Bhasrika, the heating breath, or Kapalbhati, the skull cleansing, and they do, 60 or 120 vigorous breathing in and out, and they've never done it before, and their poor lungs get strained, and they get an explosion of prana, which damages the organs and levels of our being. So many times when people overdo the pranayama, they will create high blood pressure and stress and anxiety and headache instead of relieving it. So it's really important when you do pranayama not to overdo it, but to do it in very gentle, easy, simple steps. The key word in pranayama practice is that it should be easy and enjoyable. And if you do it in an easy and enjoyable way, that's when you get the benefit. If you do pranayama with force and strain, you're creating tension, and then you defeat the whole purpose of the practice, and you lose the benefits. So pranayama shouldn't be difficult and forceful. It should be very easy and gentle, especially in the beginning stages. So in this way, pranayama is really good for the mind because it focuses the mind, it empties the mind, it fully engages the mind, and it brings fresh, calm, soothing energy to the mind. Similarly with the emotions, the pranayama releases the emotional blocks and diffuses the excess emotions, especially something like Brahmari. We'll be doing Brahmari in a minute. And Brahmari, the humming breath, is really great one for releasing the pent-up emotions. So through pranayama, you can release the pent-up emotions and you can balance your emotions so that you've got less anger and more compassion. So with pranayama, you get more clarity and control and understanding of your emotions and your thoughts and your mind and your stress levels, your energy levels, and you're able to balance the tension and the energy that you need. So the pranayama, I could go on and on with the benefits of the pranayama. It's very good for physical, for mental, for energy. It's very good for therapy. It's very good for giving you more strength. It makes you strong, shining, resilient. It improves your immune system. And of course, it was originally designed as a spiritual practice to purify your energies, to purify the chakras, balance the nadis, and awaken the kundalini so that the kundalini could rise up through the sushumna, through the spine, and reach enlightenment by merging with the cosmic divine energy at our sahasra. So this is the good thing about all the yoga practices. They were originally designed for self-realization, for becoming the best version of ourselves, for enlightenment. But along the way, there are so many side benefits that we can use for maintaining our health and for relaxing, for focusing, and all the things that we want to do in our life. So that's a little bit about the benefits and effects of pranayama. And I've mentioned a little bit about the pranamaya kosha, which is part of the pancha koshas. And we'll be doing a little bit more about pancha koshas when we do about chakras. And how does the pranayama work? You see, basically in pranayama, there are three aspects. There's inhalation, exhalation, and the pause or the gap between inhalation and exhalation. So this is a very simple concept. When you observe your breathing, you'll find these are the three movements of the breath. And in Sanskrit, in the scriptures, it's puraka, which is inhalation, rechaka, which is exhalation, and kumbhaka, which is the cessation of breath or the gap between the inhaled and exhaled breaths. And by playing around with these three aspects of the breathing, you're actually manipulating, harnessing, and controlling the prana, the life force energy. And then that is doing something to the prana, to increase it, to balance it, and to purify it. And then as you go through the different pranayams, you'll be able to realize what's happening. I find it really important and interesting to know what are the effects and why we're doing the pranayams. Because, being basically a Westerner, I want to understand the intellectual aspect. And when I understand what I'm doing, then I get faith in what I'm doing. When I have faith in what I'm doing, then I get the benefits. So I think that in our modern world, we're kind of so intellectual that we We want to understand all those things before we will do them. But once you have the faith in the practice, then the practice works. You know, if you don't believe in the practice, it won't work. You have to believe in it. You have to believe that it works, and then it will work. And pranayama is one of those very subtle aspects of yoga, which you know, you can only feel it when you have the faith and you do it with full faith. And even in the scriptures, it says that you should do continuously with faith. So, getting back to the how does the pranayama work? It's the prana behind the inhalation, exhalation, and pause between the inhalation and exhalation that does manipulation of all the energies of the breath, but it also works with the oxygen. So basically, when we're breathing in, we're taking in more oxygen and energy, and we're breathing out, we're purifying, releasing carbon dioxides, toxins, and waste products. And the breath, the pause between the two breaths, this is where a lot of the deeper aspects of pranayama happen. So you can have an explosion of prana in the pause between the inhalation and the exhalation. You can also have a realization in that pause. So this is how the pranayama works. So it works not only with the oxygen and the carbon dioxide and bringing up. You see, one thing about oxygen is it burns. So we take in the oxygen and it goes through from the lungs, through the blood circulation to the capillaries and provides oxygen to all the cells. And that oxygen is burnt in the cells to provide fuel for all the functions that are going on. And then the waste product is leaving and taken out by the blood circulation to the lungs and expelled. So that process of oxygenization in our being provides energy, nutrients, and heat. So that's why a lot of the pranayams are heating. But it also provides heat to help us to maintain our body temperature. So this is all there in the scriptures, and it's really very interesting and mysterious. So main thing is that we should have faith in the practices, and then it will help us. And as I said before, the pranayams are very good for all levels of our being. Very good for the body, for the emotions, for the mind. Very good for therapy, for boosting the immune system. Very good for healing. Very good for stress and anxiety release. Very good for concentration. Very good for awakening the latent energy within and for activating all the different energy centers in our brain, for using more of our brain. And I think better to experience some of the pranayams now. So we're going to start with some simple breath familiarization practices, which will help us to understand, because the trick with pranayama is because the prana is moving with the breath, it's important to know what's happening with our breathing. And when we learn how to be familiar with our breathing, then we'll be able to be familiar and to actually feel the prana. So it'll be nice if you lie down in shavasana, but if you don't want to lie down in shavasana, you can just relax in an easy chair or stay in your meditation asana if you wish. And make yourself quite comfortable. And feel the shape and position of your physical body. And check that it's balanced and symmetrical, adjusting if necessary. And then feel the solidness and physicalness of your body resting against its support, the floor or the cushion or the chair. This is the experience of the Annamaya Kosha, the physical body. And within the solidness of your body, you begin to notice the movement of your breathing. Be careful not to change that natural rhythm. And as you watch your natural breathing, notice, is it fast or slow? The speed of the breath has an effect. It reflects our emotions and state of being, and it also has an effect on us. When we're exerting ourselves physically or mentally, when we are emotionally exerting ourselves or having emotional intensity, we breathe fast. When we're relaxed, when we're relaxed physically and mentally, the breathing slows down. When we're in meditation and sleep, it slows down even further. So the breathing and the prana reflects our state of being, but it also affects our state of being. So by turning our attention to the natural breath, we can calm and soothe and focus the mind, and we can release the emotional intensity. There's a saying, before you get angry, count to 10. In yoga, we say before getting angry, take 10 breaths. So simply by turning the attention of your mind to your breathing, you disengage from the intensity of emotion. It's a very simple and a very effective practice that you can do at any time. The only thing is you have to remember to do it. So now, notice, is the inhalation longer or is the exhalation longer? You have to do this without changing the rhythm of your breathing. The trick is to be able to observe your breath without changing it. To observe life happening without interfering with it. And as you observe the inhaled and exhaled breaths, which is longer or are they equal? Remember that the exhale breath is letting go. So if you want to relax more, you have to let go more and you have to breathe out more and gently stretch your exhale breath. But if you want to energize yourself, inhalation is taking in oxygen and energy. So to energize yourself, you have to breathe in more, and that will energize you. And it really works. So by controlling your breath, you can control the energy levels, you can control your life force energy. Now leave your observation of the natural breath. And gently rest one hand on your abdomen. And feel the natural movement of your abdomen as you breathe. You may notice that as you inhale, your abdomen rises or expands. And as you exhale, it descends or contracts. So when we're breathing with the abdomen, we're taking the breath down to the lower lobes of the lungs. So we're exercising and using more of the lungs, and we're taking in more prana, and we're releasing the pranic energy blocks from the abdominal area, the chakras in the abdomen, the Manipur at the navel, the Shvadhisthana in the lower back, and the Muladhara. So let's do a little abdominal breathing by exaggerating the movement of the abdomen. As you breathe in, push your abdomen out like a big balloon. As you breathe out, let go and relax. And at the end of the exhale breath, pull your stomach in and squeeze the rest of the breath out. As you breathe in, expand your abdomen to the maximum. Feel your abdomen stretching and easing. As you breathe out, just relax. Let the breath come out by itself. But at the very end of the breath, pull your stomach in and squeeze the remaining air out, as if you're squeezing water out of a wet cloth. Breathing in, slow, deep, full breaths with your abdomen. Breathing out, letting go. And squeezing out. Continue in this way, knowing that you're energizing and purifying. Energizing as you inhale, purifying and relaxing as you exhale. Now leave your abdominal breathing and notice how you feel after doing abdominal breathing. This is a great practice that you can do at any time of the day. You can do it lying down on your yoga mat or your bed. You can do it sitting on a chair. You can do it in between jobs, waiting for a function to happen. You can do it standing up, gazing out of the window or out in nature. You can do it when you're jogging, when you're holding an asana, anytime. But don't do it on a full stomach, when your stomach is full. And don't do it in a polluted place because you don't want to take in the pollution. And don't do it while you're operating some machinery. So you won't do it, for example, if you're riding a scooty and waiting at the lights. But it's really good to bring you to the present moment, to release anxiety, to freshen your mind, to disengage your mind from worry and tension, and to energize yourself. It's one of those practices that's like a panacea for everything. So now, have a big stretch, and then sit up, and we're going to do some Brahmari. Sit up and sit comfortably in your meditation asana or in any comfortable seated position with your back upright and straight, your head and body in a straight line. Brahmari means bees. And when the bees move house, they make a buzzing sound. And we're going to make a humming sound, just like the bees when they make their buzzing sound. And when we do the Brahmari, I'm going to demonstrate for a moment. So just watch. So as you can see, when I do Brahmari, I take a deep breath in, and then I hum as loud and long as I can until all the breath is out. It's just like humming a tune, but instead of the tune going up and down, it's an even breath, even sound. And when you do the Brahmari, keep your teeth a little apart so they don't jangle. Keep your mouth closed throughout. Very simple practice, easy practice, and very effective for so many things. Now, before we do the Brahmari proper, we're going to do a little experiment. And bear with me if you've already done this experiment. keep your hand on top of your head and feel what's happening under your hand as you do the Brahmari. We're going to do it 3 times. And feel what's happening, then you'll know how Brahmari works. If you've already done this experiment with me, then you could keep your hand on your heart. Feel what's happening there as you do the Brahmari, okay? So keeping your hand in position, back and head upright, eyes gently closed. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hum as loud and long as you can. And feel what's happening under your hand. Keeping your eyes closed, take another deep breath through your nose. Hum as loud and long as you can. Feel what's happening under your hand. Once more, loudly. Very good. Notice how you feel after doing Brahmari. And bring your hand down and gently open your eyes. Now, this is an interactive session, so I can't remember how to release the mutes. But if someone can release the mutes, and who would like to give me some feedback? What did you feel under your hand while you were doing the Brahmari? Would anyone like to say? Yes.
Yeah, good to hear. So felt a good vibration.
Yes, yes. You're feeling the vibration here. Even though you're creating the vibration goes through from the voice, through the brain, through the skull, through the hair, and you could feel it up here. And that proves that the vibration is going right through the subtle levels of the body. Why? Because our bodies are 70% liquid. Now, if you think of a pool or a pond that's perfectly still, and you drop a pebble on one end, what will happen? Ripples right to the other end of the pool or pond. So this is what's happening here. You're creating vibration, and that vibration is going deep within you, through the blood circulatory system, to the endocrine glands, to the brain. You know, if you get a headache, if you get body ache, you can go for a nice massage. But if you get a headache, you can't massage the brain, except through something like Brahmari, because you felt the vibrations here. No? So the Brahmari is vibrating the brain, your lungs, your heart, the blood circulatory system. It brings the high blood pressure down immediately. You know, how does blood pressure work? You've got the blood vessels, and they're tight and constricted, and so less movement, less space for the blood to flow. And when you do Brahmari, the vibrations go through the blood, in the blood vessels. The blood vessels dilate, relax and dilate, and so there's more space for the blood to flow, and your BP goes down. You know, I had a student once, and he was very scientific. He wanted to know exactly what was happening. He had one of those BP machines on his arm, and he checked the BP before doing Brahmari and after doing Brahmari, and every single time the BP came down after Brahmari, 100% of the time. So Brahmari is one of these practices that's so simple, so easy. Even a kid can do it. In fact, kids love to do Brahmari, and it's really good for them. Any children who got coughs and colds, get them to do a bit of running, and then Brahmari, and everything will be fine. They'll just get over it. So Brahmari vibrates and relaxes and soothes all the inner organs. And not only that, on the physical level, and it steps up the immune system, but not only on the physical level, on the emotional level. You do Brahmari, and all the emotional blockages are released. You feel like crying or shouting, you find that you're shouting a lot, just do Brahmari. And then all that shouting energy will be transformed into something constructive and useful, and you'll feel happy and soothed and calm. Even if you do chanting and singing, you get the same effect of that release and that vibration and the good vibrations. And of course, Om chanting. So, and then of course on mental level also, The Brahmi is very good for soothing, focusing, and calming the mind. An ideal practice to do before any meditation, to calm and soothe your mind and bring it to the present moment. So Brahmi is one of those practices that anyone can do at any time, and it's so effective. You can start with 7, and we don't have time now, but it's good to plug your ears so that you can block out the external world and hear your own Brahmi and feel the vibrations more. So maybe, if you like, after this session, you could do Brahmi again 7 times by plugging your ears and just notice, where do I feel the vibrations? And then for a few moments afterwards, notice, how do I feel after Brahmi? And remember, when you take Brahmi, take a deep, full breath in without straining, and then keep humming until all the breath is out. Then take another breath in. There should be no strain whatsoever. It should be as easily as humming a tune. So this is one of those wonderful pranayama practices. And there are a lot of good pranayams on the EKA meditation app that you can do. We have digital pranayam, which is nadi shodhana or alternate nostril breathing, and we'll have some more pranayams in future. So if you want a little help with pranayam, then you can use the EKA meditation app to help you. And I'm sure we'll have some classes in the future. So now I think we can just finish off. Let's finish off by chanting Om. Sit comfortably in your meditation asana. Now Om is not like Brahmari. In Brahmari, you try and do it as long and loud as you can. But in Om, you aim to reach the higher consciousness. You aim to connect. You aim that your vibration merges with the cosmic vibration. So sitting comfortably, and if you're doing Om in a group, then you feel that your Om is merging with everyone else's Om and merging with the cosmic Om. So sitting comfortably in your meditation asana, with your back and head in a straight line and your eyes gently closed. And notice how you feel after today's session on Introduction to Pranayama. I hope that you've been inspired to get into pranayama more. And if you're not doing pranayama on a regular basis, now is a good chance to start your pranayama. Start with 5 minutes, then gradually increase, and you'll see and feel the changes of your whole day, your health, your happiness, and your energy level. But now, chanting Om, connecting to the higher consciousness, sending thanks and love to the world around. Take a deep breath in. Hari Om Tat Sat. Finish off with palming if you like. Rub the palms together until they're hot. Cup them over your eyes. And feel that you're taking in the energy generated from your palms into your eyes and brain to energize and refresh this. Refresh them. And know that this is also using prana. So if now our time is up, but if anyone would like to ask some questions, I'm quite happy to stay back if the organizers are okay with that. Over to you, Sudipta. And thank you everyone for coming.
Stay for 5 minutes more if someone has questions.
Great. So if there are any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Anjita here.
Anjita.
Hi. So my question is that the chanting of Om, what is an ideal time to do it? I mean, what I really mean is that if I'm doing yoga in the morning, should it happen in the beginning or towards the end of the practice? And, how many times one should do it ideally to get the maximum benefit?
That's a good question. Traditionally, we start our practices by chanting Om 3 times, and we finish the practice by chanting Om 3 times. This is for a class, but it's also for your sadhana, and you can do it aloud or mentally. It's really good to do it aloud, but if you are in a family situation, you're going to disturb people, you might want to do it mentally. You'll still get a good effect, because the purpose of chanting Om, many different purposes, to bring you to this present moment, to shed all the tensions and thoughts out of your mind, to connect with the higher consciousness. So whatever is your purpose, it doesn't really matter as long as you do the Om, because it's kind of like a punctuation mark to start and finish a spiritual practice. But you can also do Om as a sadhana. You can do Om chanting 11 times, 18 times, 27 times. If you do it aloud like that, it's really got a wonderful effect. And the Om is the most powerful mantra or sacred sound. And that's why every mantra has Om in the beginning, because it's kind of like the salt on a meal, the sugar in a sweet. It gives it the extra oomph and power. So you have Om before each mantra, and it makes it more effective. So you can use Om for relaxing, for focusing, for emptying, or for connecting with the higher consciousness. You can use Om as a spiritual practice of chanting Om. And if you listen to your Om and think of what is the meaning of your Om, what does it mean to you, you will get to the deeper and deeper realms of your mind, of your being, and of your soul. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We can take one more question, Swamiji. The question is, how long should we do pranayama every day, and is there a particular sequence to follow to get maximum benefit?
Thank you. Yeah, it's good if you start at 5 minutes, something easy that you can do and you feel comfortable. And then when you feel that, yes, I really love doing this practice, then you can stretch it to 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how much time you have. But it's important not to start with 1 hour of pranayama or something like that. Start at something that you can feel good with, and then gradually expand it according to your time and your capacity. And it's good to start with abdominal breathing, what we did today, and that becomes yogic breathing, because that exercises the lungs and gets rid of all the dross and the lethargy and the waste products and generates energy. And then you do all the other pranayams. So some people, they do Kapalbhati first to take out all the impurities and charge up the nadis. And otherwise, Brahmari is a good second one to do, or Nadi Shodhana. And you can also end with Brahmari, especially if you're going to do meditation after pranayam. Traditionally, we do asanas, then pranayam, then meditation. But if you're doing it early in the morning, some people like to do meditation first when their mind is calm and soothed, then pranayam to get the energies going, and then asanas to wake up and get their body ready for the day. So you can do the pranayam, the sequences, abdominal breathing or yogic breathing, and then some of the other pranayams, and there are heating pranayams and cooling pranayams. So look at the weather, and if it's cold and you're in the Himalayas, you do Bhasrika and heating pranayams. If it's hot and you're in South and you're in summer, you do some of the soothing and cooling pranayams. But Nadi Shodhana is one of the most important ones. Nadi Shodhana is also called digital breathing or alternate nostril breathing. And you either do it with this mudra, you might know that you might recognize it if I say do this, or you can do it with this mudra, which is the one that we use in the Bihar School of Yoga. And Nadi Shodhana is supposed to be the king and the ace of pranayams because it balances the right and left brain hemispheres and the Ida and the Pingala and the mental and the physical energies. So it's a really panacea for everything. Does that answer that question?
So I think we are past our time, Swamiji. I think we should end. There is one more question though. Breathing through lungs or stomach, which is preferred? I think the question actually is chest breathing or belly breathing. That's, I think, what they're asking.
They're both important. because the abdominal breathing is the beginning when we are beginning pranayama, learning or doing the practice, but it's also takes the energy, the air and the energy down to the lower parts of the lungs, which are many times lacking in exercise and stimulation, especially in the old days when we wore a tight belt or a tight choli. The bottom of the lungs are constricted. And so abdominal breathing is really good for releasing the blockages in the lower chakras. But upper lungs is also important to get the energy coming to the upper chakras. So once you do yogic breathing, you're using both the abdomen and the upper chest. And both are important.
Yes, I think we can end the session, Swamiji. That's all the questions.
Good.
Thank you, everyone.
And a special thank you to Sandeep. I'm so happy that you're there. If you switch on your video, I can even see you. And all the people that I know. It's really nice to see you.
And
we
have a session tomorrow as well with you.
Okay, nice to meet you, Sandeep. I know another one. Thank you. Sorry, Sudipta.
I said, I was just telling everybody that we have Yoga Nidra with you tomorrow again. And
yeah, Yoga Nidra, and then
same time
meditation.